Welcome back. This year, Germany is celebrating the 60th anniversary of the founding of its democratic constitution. The constitution, of course, marked the end of the Nazi era of Adolf Hitler, and Germany set about shaking off the horrific image created by the Nazis and their atrocities. But today in Germany, the extreme right is being seen as a growing threat to the values laid down in that very constitution. The far-right NPD party, already with members in 2 regional assemblies, the party is aiming now for the national parliament. Unemployment, of course, played a huge part in the rise of Hitler's right wing in the 1930s. Germany today is facing more huge economic challenges. Let's go to France 24's correspondent in Berlin, Damien McGuinness. Damien, tell us first, who are the NPD?
Well, the NPD is Germany's largest right-wing extremist party, and it's the main motivator behind the whole right-wing extremist movement here in Germany. But it has to be said, we're not talking about skinheads in bother jackets and jackboots here. The party has a much slicker image. Over the last few years, it's become much more media-friendly, and you're more likely to see its representatives wearing short, back-and-sides haircut and a suit. So it's a much more subtle and sophisticated approach than we've seen over the last few years.
Damien, stay with us. We'll go now to the special report on this party. France 24 went to the eastern German region of Saxony-Anhalt to meet one of the rising figures of Germany's extreme right.
Michael Schäfer may be young, but he's already one of the hotshots of Germany's far right. Just 26, he's already served on his district council for 2 years and is now standing for election as city councillor in the eastern German town of Wernigerode. Young, slick and media savvy, this is the new face of German far-right extremism. More than happy to court the press, today he's welcomed France 24 to his hometown with events specially designed for the TV cameras. Members of the young right-wing NPD have Germany's other parties in their sights.
I'm here today because Germany can't keep going on like this. The country has lost its social values, and we need a political revolution.
Michael Schäfer first joined a small independent neo-Nazi group when he was 16. Today, it's his responsibility to bring these independent right-wing activists into the main German right-wing extremist NPD party. But his first step is to conquer the town hall.
On the one hand, the NPD is fighting to take over the parliaments. We want to go out into society and win people over. The main aim of the young NPD, on the other hand, is to recruit young people out on the streets, in universities and in schools. We want to persuade them to follow our ideology.
According to figures published in March, 5.2% of 15-year-old Germans say they belong to an extreme right-wing organisation. Michael Schäfer may define himself as democratic, but according to the former mayor of Wernigerode, Schäfer is most definitely in the tradition of Hitler's Nazi Germany, as is shown in one of his articles.
The text says we need to get away from the image of being a junior NPD party and get back to a community of fighters out on the streets who can become political soldiers throughout the whole of Germany. Heil Deutschland. For me, that says it all. As far as I can see, that is basically a call to rebuild Hitler's army of stormtroopers.
In Germany, young right-wing activists and all extremist parties are united in one movement, the Volk or People's Front. When Schäfer is with his own people, he shows a very different face, as is the case at this demonstration last December.
Dann leben wir unser Nationalismus eben auf der Straße, so wie heute. Und damit treffen wir sie dort, wo es ihnen wirklich wehtut.
Olaf Sundermeier, co-author of a book on the NPD party, has been following the movement's development for years. His verdict is clear.
For the NPD, a German is not someone with a German passport, but someone who has German blood. That is a racist and nationalistic approach, which has nothing to do with our democracy. It goes against everything which our constitution has stood for since the Second World War.
According to a report published Wednesday by the German Home Office, in the last year, right-wing extremist offences have increased by 15.8%.
That's a special focus report. Let's go back now to Damien McGuinness, who's on the line from Berlin. The face of extremism, Damien, of any side can often be very ugly. What was very noticeable from your report there is that the face of extremism we're seeing there in Germany is very young. Now, obviously, lots of young people are searching for employment. Employment, a big problem in Germany now. How much is joblessness playing a role in what's happening there, just as it did in the 1930s, say, with the rise of Hitler?
Well, I think it's certainly a factor, Mark. You particularly see a popularity of right-wing extremism in poorer eastern areas of former communist Germany. And in a lot of these towns where there's high unemployment and rural depopulation, one of the social factors affecting this is that the young, more educated, mobile young people, particularly young women, are moving to the west to search for work in Western Germany, in Munich or Hamburg, leaving behind the less skilled, the less educated young men. Now, this leads to a lot of problems because on the one hand, they haven't got jobs. On the other hand, they can't find girlfriends. So you've got young, frustrated men who are then turning to comradeship within right-wing extremist parties and feeling like a sense of belonging there.
So a breakdown in the whole social structure there, it seems. Damien, bear with us for a second. Let's go now to an extract from the weekly podcast that Angela Merkel, the Chancellor of Germany, puts out each week. She, of course, is originally from the east of Germany. She's talking about how the Constitution is, of course, extremely important and how threats against it shouldn't be discounted.
Wenn wir heute 60 Jahre Grundgesetz feiern,
today, we celebrate the 60th anniversary of our Constitution. We can safely say that it has allowed Germany to take the right path, the reunification with the West, joining the European Union, and putting in place a social system. Based on the Constitution, Germany did not just make prosperity a reality for Germans, but it also became a friend and partner of the world.
wir auch ein Freund und Partner in der Welt werden. Dies war einer der Gründe,
That is one of the reasons why the peaceful revolution in the former German Democratic Republic was successful, and why some 20 years ago, with the fall of the Berlin Wall, we were able to take the next step.
gemeinsam sagen,
Now, all Germans can claim unity, justice, and freedom.
das ist unser gemeinsames deutsches Glück.
Back now to Damien McGuinness in Berlin. We heard Angela Merkel there talking about the Constitution. Obviously, it's a big moment to celebrate the 60th anniversary. But is there still a kind of East-West divide in Germany which is exacerbating this problem?
Well, it depends where you look, actually, Mark, because in certain parts of eastern Germany, in particular Leipzig and Dresden, there is these are booming economies, and these have seen a very high rise in affluence over the last few years. Also, in the city of Berlin, there is a very a booming creative economy. So there's very little role for the right-wing extremist parties. You're really talking about rural eastern Germany. Also, there are parts of Western Germany which are also suffering economic problems with deindustrialization and closure of factories. So it really depends what part of Germany you're talking about, whether it's a big city or the poor rural economy. But as we heard in the podcast from Angela Merkel just now, it really is a moment of celebration at the moment, the 60th anniversary of the German Constitution, because this is a freer, more liberal, more open and more democratic Germany than the continent has ever known. And people really are celebrating that this weekend.
Damien McGuinness there in Berlin. Thank you very much for joining us. So that focus on the situation in Germany brings an end to this half hour of news here on France 24. Do stay with us. More coming up.
Video surveillance is the latest weapon in marketing. Digital technology, data collection, personal information, all is fair in the world of advertising. But marketing professionals are just as aggressive and don't hesitate even to use hidden cameras. Where will all this spying end? Don't miss Beyond Business, Saturday 10:15 AM Paris time on France 24.